You're listening to the Dennis Prager Show, where we talk about everything in life, and one of the great things in life to know is the inherent differences between men and women, made very clearly in the book Why Men Never Remember and Women Never Forget by a professor of clinical medicine at Columbia University, Dr. Marianne Legato. You were about to tell me a story about the nature-nurture issue.
Yes. One of my favorite pediatricians here in New York, Dr. George Lazarus, tells a wonderful story about parents who were very progressive, and their first child was a girl. And they wanted her to have every opportunity to grow up to be whatever she wanted to be, and decided not to give her the conventional dolls to play with when she was a toddler, but presented her with 4 huge trucks. And the little girl opened them with great interest at Christmas, and then was nowhere to be found. And things were very quiet, so they set out to look for her and found her bedroom door shut. And on knocking, they were met at the door by the little girl, who put her finger to her lips and said, "Shh, they're sleeping." And on going into the room, it was apparent that she had carried the trucks to her bed, pulled the covers up over them, and had put them to sleep. So
I am now secreting endorphins.
That's a true story. She may have gone on to MIT. I'm sure she could if she were properly educated. And
yeah, but that's a separate issue. She still has a female nature.
Exactly. Her instincts really led her to
Well, you've now given me another great story, really, and I will cite
story.
you. Oh, that's very important, that story. Well, in fact, though, it was also President Summers, Larry Summers of Harvard, who told the story that he did the same thing. He gave his daughter a truck, and he said she gave it a name.
I love it. I love it.
The same thing.
Well, there are data to show that little girls who have an abnormality in the production of some of their hormones that masculinize them until the disorder is corrected have a great affinity for roughhouse play, and as they grow up later have less empathy, if you will, for parenting, are not as interested in raising children, and resemble much more in terms of their play patterns and their vocational choices men.
But you call that a disorder. Today, that would just be called a person who is not following gender rules.
Yes, but the reason for it is not in the ether. It's a really physical reason, and I think that's the beauty of what I call gender medicine.
What is the cause of it?
I think a difference in the levels of testosterone that the little girl.
So how is it undone?
It isn't undone. It is simply stopped by correcting her adrenal issue.
Well, that's what I mean.
Yeah.
You can do that.
Yes, you can, sure. But
now,
the impact is, especially if she was exposed, as these children are, during the formative years of their brain, the impact it goes on forever, at least to some degree.
Now, of course, for a parent to do that, they would have to subscribe to the notion that there are characteristics that are gender-based.
That's right. And anyone who has parented 2 children knows that those children are born into, even if they're the same sex, the same environment, and presumably...
All right. I will not ask you to take a position on this subject because you might no longer have friends at the university, and I mean it sincerely, unfortunately, but... I'm not going to ask you about because it's not fair to. That's not what the subject is. But when I speak about the issue of same-sex marriage, I make the simple argument that when possible, it is ideal for a child to experience both sexes.
I think that that's a very wonderful topic. I'm not afraid to give you my opinion about that, and it's one of the things I'm very interested in, which is at the get-go. Is homosexuality or gender confusion of any kind, is that hardwired in? Is that part of our biology, or is it a result of training, education, exposure, and our environment? I think it's definitely, at least significantly, hardwired into the brain, and I don't think it's a question of personal choice or
but that's not
treatment.
That.
Now,
I'm not even arguing that. I'm just
your question is,
yes.
Should children have the benefit of
yes.
parents of different sexes? And I think there is a distinct benefit to exposure to both men and women during parenting, at least in the conventional studies that I have read. For example, the roughhouse play that a father exposes even a little baby to really does help in a direct way the baby's neural development. The tendency of a baby is, this has been shown in studies even at Columbia, when his father approaches or her father approaches, is to get ready for action. The pupils dilate, the expression.
Continue that thought in a moment. This is too important to let go. The book, Why Men Never Remember and Women Never Forget. I'm Dennis Prager.